Hello, hello, hello. I watched the new Borderlands movie, and I must say, probably the worst adaptation I've ever seen in my life. It is it is a sorry excuse for like a movie. Dragon Ball Evolution was more close to Dragon Ball than this was. That might be pushing it, but I'd rather watch Dragon Ball Evolution again than watch this dumpster fire. It's got a 3% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Look at these. IGN says awful, total catastrophe, the cheap knockoff by Jake. The fans deserve a lot better than whatever the director. My first biggest gripe is obviously the casting, and I'm not gonna. This isn't gonna be all negative, which it's really hard not to be. Eh, This this is terrible. She doesn't even have the tattoos, and spoiler alert, because obviously, but she gets him like towards the end and it's a big reveal that she's a siren. It's like, whoa, Lilith is a siren. It's like, yeah, well, anybody who knows about this like knows that, and I'm sure it's mostly fans that are going to see this if they didn't lose faith once they saw the casting of 2'4" Kevin Hart playing the like 6 foot tall Roland. Okay, Roland's like 5'11", but basically 6 feet, and Kevin Hart's like 3 inches tall. Jack Black actually voice acted, and his voice was a little bit different. It didn't just sound like Chris Pratt going, "Hey, it's me. I'm Mario." Yahoo! He was actually voice acting, and Claptrap was comparatively he was good. Like if I'm just judging him by himself, not the best. He wasn't. He didn't make me upset like the other ones did because Tiny Tina wasn't even like remotely herself, and for some reason they mixed Tiny Tina with Handsome Jack's daughter. Like they mix it around so she's like a fake Iridian siren thing where they like gave her the powers and stuff like that, like they did with Angel in Borderlands 2 to use her as the key to open the vault. And the vault key itself can fit in like the palm of my hand instead of, you know, the giant vault key that we're all used to seeing. The vault key in the show is like this, it fits in my palm, and in Borderlands 2 at least, the game I'm most familiar with, that's a pretty big key, man. It's like the size of like Tiny Tina's torso. It's a pretty big key, and puts it in the floor, opens the vault. You fight the big destroyer, lava rock monster fella, and then you defeat it. You get Handsome Jack's face and everything. Pretty cool. In the movie, I almost said the show because realistically, things like this should be a show, as we've seen with the Fallout show. It very much worked a lot better as a show than it would a movie, and we can see that tremendously with the Borderlands movie. One thing that I do have to mention that I did enjoy about the Fallout show a lot is that they had new characters. This just doesn't. I have a picture here. This doesn't make sense. There's Roland, Lilith, Krieg, Tannis, and Tiny Tina with Claptrap as your like vault hunters for the movie. That feels really like mismatched, and none of them really play their character well. Besides Claptrap and Krieg, the rest of them feel like they're like taking inspiration from the characters. They're not playing the characters. Roland doesn't use his like turret ability thing, which is like kind of lame. There's a part where there's a tunnel and there's people running in after him, and he's just shooting with two guns, dual wielding like he's Salvador. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's more realistic. But like, if he put his turret down and he was getting like overrun by the sheer amount of people, I think that'd be a lot cooler of a scene for him to be like hunkered down behind the shield and like shooting with it, going like, I've got to stop all these enemies and like protect my friends. That'd be cool. I think that's fine. That'd be nice. But Krieg was actually, out of everybody who was like in the movie, I'd say Krieg and Marcus were the most like their character, but the like bar that was set by this movie to like fit in with what it's actually like in the game is very, very astronomically low, similar to the height of Kevin Hart. It's about his height. That's how big the bar is. And it, as a longtime fan of the Borderlands games, I have a video of me talking about this movie when it was first like announced or like teased or theorized. And you guys can watch back on that and you can hear me talk about it. I'm sure I still have it up. But this was like my first Xbox game. When I got my Xbox, the first game I got was Borderlands 1 and 2, and I that summer I played so much Borderlands. So like I know this game. I know, you know, this is my stuff. I love this. And there were very small things that like really bugged me as a fan. And I even watched with my dad who knows nothing about Borderlands and he didn't like it either. So you've got the, the fan reaction versus the like random reaction of a random person. This movie was so bad that this person that knows nothing about the games could tell that it was bad. That's how much of a flop this was. And if we want to look at this, which is estimated budget, 100 mil, they made 1.3 mil on opening day. That is that's so disappointing. But I'm very happy that they're not making money, so they don't make a second movie. I was very much hoping, with all of us clowning on it for forever before it came out, that they would pull a Sonic and redo it. But I understand that Sonic, it was way easier to do because you're changing one character and it was animated, like an animated character. But Jesus, man, this movie shouldn't have been put out. It should have been like canceled. It's dead on arrival. It is just the biggest dumpster fire in all of Pandora. It is so bad. The CGI looks really really terrible at times, like really bad. I'm not like exaggerating just because of how much I didn't like the movie, but it is really terrible. And Tiny Tina really upset me that first they changed her and like mixed her with Angel and made her like a whole separate character. And sure, she's got the explosions and she like jumps around and she's like, "Ha, ha, I blew you up," but it's really nothing remotely close to how she acts in the game. It's like just a tiny, just 1% like closeness. Krieg's a little bit closer, but he doesn't yell out like "meat bicycle" or any of his cool things. He doesn't have like the whole like internal dialogue thing where between his crazy self and his like sophisticated self. How we saw through that the Borderlands 3 DLC, we saw a lot of that. I thought that would have been really cool to include, but no, he talks kind of normally almost, which is pretty lame. And I mean, he looks decent. He's a buff guy and he's got a mask on, so you can't really mess that up too much. Mad Moxie was surprisingly similar. I thought she actually looked like her, which was pretty cool. Marcus did too, and this was this was the biggest travesty of them all. How old is she? Like 305 now? Date of birth 58. Jesus. If she was 58, it would still be too old to play Tannis. And they kind of changed it a little bit. Like Tannis was like 30 and she rescued Lilith as a child to escape from there because, whoa, big shocker. Lilith is the Firehawk, a siren, and Lilith's mom wanted her to get out of there so she wouldn't have to like sacrifice herself to open the vault, which there was no sacrifice at all. She just waved her hand and it happened. Very disappointing. And this guy's Handsome Jack, but no, he's not. He's not Handsome Jack. He's Atlas. You know, like like the corporation. This is the head guy who made Tiny Tina, like Angel Tiny Tina, and wanted to use her to get into the vault. They get in the vault, big, tentacle thing eats him, and I'm like, oh well, that's already like very different from the game. Like, why isn't Angel there? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, That's just not that's just not how it goes, you know? And that was like my biggest upset. It's like, well, that's just not how the game works. And I get there's like creative liberties, but you're merging two characters, completely removing one, and giving a way less likable version of them. Like everybody loves Handsome Jack. He's probably one of the best written like bad guys, you know. It's not very common for people to be like really have a memorable villain. Well, that's not too true. But, there's not too many villains that you'll play a game and be like, "Oh, I remember that guy." I don't really remember any like crazy villains in like Call of Duty or even in Destiny. Like the Witness is like important, but I don't really think about like these old villains too much. I'm just like, "Oh yeah, playing raids, whatever." And of course, it's like if we went in the comics, there's a lot more memorable villains and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is like Handsome Jack is a very important character, a very likable character, and a very well written character, and is replaced by like Office Executive Number Three, who's like really bland and boring, and like he's not likable, which is, I mean, I guess is fine for a villain. You're not supposed to like them really, but they can be likable, and when they're likable, they're great. Like it's cool to have a villain that you love to hate, kind of a thing, and this whole movie, I kind of just hated the movie because it was very, very bad. It's just so aggravating. That's something I love so much is just done so dirty. Like Lilith has the Infinity for some reason, which is like this pistol that you would just hold down the trigger because it shoots infinitely. Infinite ammo, never needs to reload. Just shoots forever, you know, infinitely. Crazy. And there's one point where she's got a second gun in her hand that's like a shotgun, I guess, and she's shooting it the Infinity like single bullets like it's the shotgun instead of just holding down the trigger, which was like I'm sure some people wouldn't notice that because like, oh, I mean, she's just got guns, I'm sure the guns aren't going to be a 1-to-1. I mean, there was no like unkempt Harold or none of the like the cool most well-known guns. Roland didn't throw like a fastball grenade or anything like that. Krieg did have his melee weapon, which was kind of cool. What's it called? The buzz axe, buzz saw. I don't know the name exactly, but he didn't like grind it up and like use it to like cut anything. It felt like very like PG almost, which it really should have been like a rated R, more raunchy and Borderlands humor, more explosions and like cool fights. Like not even the fight scenes were good. I would say some of the props looked pretty decent. I did like the outfits of the Atlas people, the like grunts with the helmet on. I thought they looked pretty good. Um, it was funny seeing Bobby Lee in there. That was kind of like comical. It's just cool to see him, but even that couldn't save the movie. They have the bus scene, like getting picked up as like, hey, Old Hunter, that was kind of cool. It wasn't like too similar to it, and I think the movie would have been a lot better if you got a little dialogue intro from Marcus being like, "So I'm gonna tell you a story," kind of like how the Borderlands 2 starts, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that'd be cool." Or even the trailer be like that. That would have been cool. But it feels like it's just very loosely based off of Borderlands because they got so much of it wrong. Like so much of it. If you like Borderlands and care about your mental health, I would watch somebody's review on it, hear how bad it is, and just never watch it. If you are resourceful and want to see it for yourself and can find it somewhere for a low admission or no admission to watch it, like I might have done, I would say just like fast forward through it because it's not worth watching. I very much regret watching it, really. I had very, 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 very low expectations, and I should have expected less. It was not good at all. A lot of things just didn't work the way they should, and it was very much disappointing. They kind of just like, let's say if I made a Batman movie and Batman was using guns and flying, but he still had like the same costume. That's what this felt like. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's like the same like Minecraft texture pack, but I'm like summoning Pokemon and they're fighting Digimon with swords. Like it was very loosely Borderlands. They took a lot of creative liberties that they shouldn't, and it was overall just a very big disappointment, and it really hurt to watch. It really, really hurt to watch. The Just to really summarize, they explained it as an aging up. That's why Tannis is an elderly woman and Lilith is like midlife crisis. I think she's like 55, maybe 60, somewhere around there. Which, okay, that's fine. You age them up, but why is Tiny Tina still a child? And Kevin Hart's Roland looks the same age. It doesn't really make sense. And Krieg is the same age, but for some reason these two are aged up. You could say it's like an alternate timeline or like a different dimension, like multiverse thing, and really like hop on that train. But it they don't fit. I would much rather have like some up and coming actors or just people you've never heard of that are good at acting and look the part slightly because I feel like they were really riding on this like, oh, let's put some recognizable names in here and hopefully that'll save us instead of like actually making a good movie. I really think if they were to make this a show and have actors who really fit the part and I think a better idea would be like, oh, somewhere in between or like after Borderlands 2 or something, here's the cast of people you can play as from Borderlands 2 and the characters, and they go and do like some random mission on the side, and it's like a little like Tales from the Borderlands like side thing. Or there's how many vaults out there and how many vault hunters? Why not a whole new cast of people, new characters, like the Fallout show did? Let's have these new vault hunters that will like and maybe even love and have them go and find their own vault, their own characters, their own bad guys, maybe even some new weapons. And then you can tie that into like Borderlands 3 and throw in a little DLC, a free DLC, and have like a little like side mission, very small DLC to like see some of those characters as a little like cameo kind of thing and get some of the movie slash show weapons. That would have been phenomenally better. Like that would have been amazing. And I would have been like, whoa, this is actually pretty sick. I can rewatch this. I gotta fly on a plane somewhere. I'll watch most of the season. Or like maybe there's multiple seasons because there's like different vaults, so you can go on for a while of them finding different vaults, or even like each season is a different crew of vault hunters doing their own mission and adventure and story. And you can have some returning people, like Marcus can still drive the bus, or you can like see in the background like, you know, Tannis's research lab or something, and maybe some old they go through like some of the old locations and games that you may recognize, or maybe like a raid boss, pops up and they have to fight it. Something like that would have been phenomenally like better. But this really was just a total just slap in the face to anybody who cares about Borderlands whatsoever. I don't think they really did anything well. The only things that I could say that they did sort of well is that some of the locations look kind of nice. They had like the right like feel and theme, but the CGI on a lot of them were like really ugly and really obvious in some places. I think some of the enemies, their outfits were kind of cool. The psychos looked a little funky. Like they had like different masks instead of all having the same mask, which I guess is more realistic. But you're also, on an alien planet thing with like these ancient angel weird creatures, searching for treasure and stuff. So it's not really a realistic thing in general. But I I really think I really really think they could have done a lot better. And this is probably the worst possible way they could have gone about making this movie. It is really just it's just a disgrace. It is so embarrassing. My rating is a 1 out of 10. This isn't even this isn't even worth watching for free. You would have I feel like I should have been paid. Like I didn't like I want a refund for watching this, and well, I didn't really I didn't really spend too much on a ticket. Um, but yeah, this is a sorry excuse for a film, and whoever's fault this is that this exists, you should be embarrassed and maybe just not make a movie ever again because this is just abysmal. This is a sorry excuse for a movie, and it's frankly pretty disgusting. See ya.